Hey, it's Adam here, and you're watching The Culture Hack, where we're talking about how to create engaged workspaces that unlock the potential of your teams and drive your business forward in ways you've never seen. So stay tuned. Andre Arrata, welcome to The Culture Hack. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for having me on the show. Really excited for it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We met, of course, a couple of weeks ago, and we had such a great conversation. So I'm really excited. You are, of course, the Senior Facilitator and Growth Advisor at Ventrek.
That's right.
And let's talk about that. Tell me about Ventrek.
Well, Ventrac is it's essentially at its heart, it's a strategy system, and we're mostly working with entrepreneurs, and we're really helping them to strengthen the clarity, alignment, and accountability within their company. Right? Essentially, we're always looking as companies to grow, and at times, even companies that have been very successful, they've had a lot of growth, they get to a point where they recognize they need to do something different. And so we come in with our Ventrac system. We help them do some company strengthening. And again, strengthening along the lines of clarity, alignment, and accountability. So if you want to maybe move more to corporate speak, we go into vision, which is more about the who we are as a company and who we serve. Our alignment is strategy, right? Because we have limited resources. So we need to make sure that the leadership team in our company is aligned in helping us to achieve our desired outcome. And then you want execution. So, which is our accountability tool, right? So if we're not executing the strategy and the vision, it really doesn't matter. Right. So we go through a strengthening progress of all three of those areas. Yeah.
I love that. You're hitting all the right buzzwords. What stuff I love to talk about here. Uh, but here's another one that's being thrown around a lot is this term like engaged workforce or engagement or in your when you're dealing with a company and they're really responding well and they're super engaged. What does that look like?
Well, it looks like a number of things, so when we start, let's call it with engagement, and every journey that we'll take a client through will have all aspects. Everything we're doing is for engagement. The intention is for engagement. So at one level, we can engage let's call it the senior executive leadership team. We can, engage at the middle, let's call it middle management, if you want to call it that. I mean, I don't love that term level, but then we can also do it at the customer serving the front line. And essentially what it is, it's about three different aspects. One is starting to ensure that we have honest, open, and vulnerable communication. Meaning, if I'm an individual in the company and I don't have the ability to share that information, right? I won't feel valued, and hence my engagement starts to decrease or decline. So one is we want to start with the idea that everyone, to an extent, as much as we can, has an opportunity. Two is we ensure we actually promote for the leadership team to share the strategy and the work that we do together with the rest of the company. So that now allows me, if I'm a performance-driven individual and I hear Adam is saying, hey, Andre, we should be going in direction X, whatever that might be, I should now be able to start generate my own thoughts and my own ability to say, okay, this is what Adam's looking for, right? How do I help him get there? So that's another level of engagement, pardon me, that we get into. And the other area of it is, we do always promote aspects of celebrating, whether it's celebrating our culture, celebrating our values, right? And having these ongoing town halls. But it also is promoting engagement from getting the senior leadership teams and sometimes the division leadership and division individuals just to get together to ensure that they're forced into a cadence of getting together. And in our system, and I think it's not a new idea, but we do it as a weekly meeting. We have what we'll call, we steal this term from traction, the level 10, where every week we're getting the groups together, the leadership teams of either at the corporate level or department levels together, and we're forcing them into that discussion of how we've been doing and how are we doing in regards to our strategy. More importantly for us, is issue solving. You know what? We don't love the idea of reporting. We do love the idea of let's get together and let's solve the issues that are either restraining or holding us back. So those are the areas of engagement at a simple level that we do like to get into, and that's what we promote within our company strengthening system.
Gotcha. That's fantastic, right? Like the way I like to think about it is if I'm not engaged, I'm looking out for number one, right? What do I want to do? I'm gonna just put some boundaries on there and see you later. But if I am, if I care, if I'm interested, if I'm excited, then I'm gonna start thinking about maybe how I can help you, or like you two should get together, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna start thinking a little bit bigger than just myself, right?
And you know what? I think, my own opinion, and I think we've seen it demonstrated within our approach with our customer profiles is all of this really does start with trust, right? I'd say communication, but if you don't have trust, it's difficult to have good communication. And trust comes from you and I, right? Having rapport. That if I share an idea, I'm not concerned about Adam coming back and saying that was the dumbest idea I ever heard on it. We're never going to go in that direction. It's more
Right.
about the engagement, the active listening. And when you and I are engaged that way together, right? Now our rapport enhances. And now I can focus. I feel that I'm important to the company and I'm more, right? I'm more bringing this energy forward into the company's success. And even more, if I understand what the strategy direction of the company is and how my behaviors help promote or drive that strategy, I'm even more engaged.
That's fantastic. So I always like to talk a little bit about stories of some real life situations you've been in. So do you have any stories or examples of the clients that you've worked with where you've managed to move the needle for them?
Well, yeah, I won't, of course, give names and such, but in a number of one of our early engagements is what we would call a foundation building day. And that starts to speak to the structure of a company, right? Roles and responsibilities. So an easier way of saying it is we want to get people in their swim lanes, right? So when you start to look at the aspect of roles and responsibility, right, people on one level start to understand, hey, I'm actually, let's call it the functional group is my marketing group. This is what I'm responsible for. Here are my 5 responsibilities, right? And now from either an engagement in a trust or what we would call right person, right seat. So is the individual living and breathing the company values? So we go through an R&R, then we go through living and breathing the right people in the right seat. When you start to put in place the aspects of company values and reviewing people and their performance against their 5 key responsibilities and the core values, you really start to see how leadership either leans in and engages, or they start to realize that, you know what, geez, I may not be the right person for this company. And this is something that we don't force in terms of making decisions, but it does become a natural process where it really becomes fairly easy to determine if people, the right people, are in the right seat, right, doing the right things. And it really enhances and ensures that there's alignment, there's some good buy-in from the leadership team. And we've seen in a number of cases, that roles might change and the company might high grade its personnel. In hockey, you always continue to say you're always looking for individuals who could help improve your team. And I think we have a tool that helps to get the thought alignment of am I bringing as much as I can from leadership to the company? But then it also allows the company to start looking at itself and saying, do we have the right people in the right seats? So we define the right person, we define what the right seat looks like, right? And then we keep it fairly disciplined with our groups on a quarterly basis to make sure that we're reviewing those things with them.
Love it.
Does that
So
make sense? Maybe
yeah,
I feel like I went a little bit all over the place,
no,
but
no, no, it's perfect. I think this is the power of sometimes having a third party facilitator, right? Is like you put people on a process, right? You put them on a path, you get them in a room, it's at different cadences, but then you ask questions designed to get them to think in a certain way, right? And you're getting them to start to think about, can we pull out of this whirlwind of the day-to-day for a second? Can we think about who we are? Can we think about what clients we're going after? Can we think about our offering? Can we think about maybe what we
Totally.
should not do? Should we think about what's happening internationally and what that might do to where we want to focus our efforts, right? Like
Yeah.
that is the power of having somebody who's gone down this path many, many, many times take you along the journey. And I think you're always going to get there way faster with that guidance than on your own. Because on your own, you're going to make all these mistakes along the way. You're going to get there eventually, but you can get there faster with somebody like yourself, right? And I think it's like having a flashlight in the woods, right?
Well, and you're right. So it's you touched on a few things, and I do 100% agree on it. On one level, like as entrepreneurs, we're all constrained with our resources. Like we don't have unlimited time and money, right? So as much of it is we want to do everything, strategy and the focus helps us to determine what we need to put to the side and say, no, we can't do that because it takes away from my focus. The other component of it, almost of having, if you want, an accountability coach, right, is strategy and execution. It's not sexy. Everyone wants to think that strategy is sexy. In our world, it's about being disciplined and being focused, right? And so, yeah, we like to put in the tools that help companies, specifically, entrepreneurs, focus on where they need to go and help the company focus on how to best utilize its resources, for sure.
Okay, fantastic. And last question for you, Andre. As we look to the future, are you seeing a trend with industry or clients? Are they starting to embrace this idea of engagement and culture and strategy all kind of being kind of tied together? How have you seen things kind of evolve?
Well, so, it's a great question and really interesting because we've got some clients, let's call it, that been with us, 3, 4, 5 years, and obviously a subsection that are brand new. And I believe you see it borne out, right? That if a client is sticking with the system and sticking with us, let's call it, for 4 years plus, there is an aspect of refocusing, alignment, right, and working together as a team, engagement, that they really do appreciate. And I think today, I always heard this and I never understood it, that it's a complicated world. And in the olden days, when I was working 1,000 years ago in industry day to day, you could have one or two owners that were very focused and very involved in everything the company was doing. And I do believe today that becomes really difficult, right? There are so many specialities and so much depth of knowledge that's required in each individual function that it's very difficult for one or two individuals to do it all, right? And so, yeah, I think the engagement is critical, specifically in this day and age, right? In this time after COVID. And I think the tools aligned with, let's call it, execution. And so if I extend that to focus, right, keeping people focused, keeping the communication going, it's important because all of us today want to understand the why of what's happening, right? So all those aspects of the communication, the trust, and the engagement on all those levels help me to stay involved because I understand why. I understand why I matter, how I can contribute. So yeah, I don't know if it's a trend, but I really do believe after COVID, it became much more salient and relevant to how, the entrepreneurial mindset is thinking, and specifically if they're growth oriented and they have the ability to recognize that, we need to be doing either more with less or something differently than what we're doing now. So we want to get everyone rowing in the same direction.
Love that. Well, I really appreciate your insights and your wisdom with me here today, Andre. Thank you so much for your time. I hope people watching really pull a lot of gems out of your knowledge and your background. So thank you so much.
And I appreciate you, giving me the opportunity to be in discussion with you. Appreciate that. And I'll say thank you for not going into any Trump discussion with me.
Hey, thanks for watching The Culture Hack. Do you want to chat culture and engagement? Give us a call and come on the show.